Greetings, role players, one and all. I am Arthur Maxon of the Brotherhood, and I'd like to chat a moment. When I was a young boy, my mother sent me to be raised under elder lions when my father was politically assassinated. When his orders took him east, I was along for the ride among his company. Under his guidance, I was taught honor, brotherhood, and respect for not only those in my order, but for the common man in the wasteland. It was his guidance that helped me to become the man I am today. And when he passed from us, it was these very ideals that helped me to raise to the rank of elder at the tender age of 16. These values helped me to maintain the Aqua Pura project for everyone in the capital wasteland, to reunite the Brotherhood outcasts with us, and to push to trade and share our technology with the realms at large. I deeply care for every brother and sister of Steel in my order. And friends, I'd like to extend that care and respect for you as well, dear role players. A vote for Steel is a vote for progress. I will see to it that player killers are hunted down. Roleplay hubs are patrolled and protected from trolls. Unity is established with communities. Establish open communication between all realms. Only use force of action as a last resort. Seek out and re-educate purple Wookiees of all type to the local realm's lore. Seek to work with game developers to innovate better experiences for all of us. Can a queen in a dying realm say that? What does a professor know of shielding role players from trolls and player killers? Can a pro player killer really have your back? And did a dictator ever really have the best goals of the people in mind? These are questions you, dear role player, must ask yourself on election day. Thank you for your time. This has been a message from the Brotherhood of Steel for President of the Multiverse. I am Arthur Maxon, and I approve this message.
This is RPMMORadio.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
A podcast all about role-playing and MMORPGs.
I like what you got. Good job!
With your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Sid, Jazz, Sibh'Bae, and Kishmas.
Everybody off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hello, role players. Welcome to RPMMO Radio. This is our 55th fuckcast. It's our 55th episode.
Very nice.
55th episode.
Okay, what episode is this?
I am channeling the spirit of Mike Tyson. It's our 55th episode. You know, when you're fighting somebody, like whether it's a pillar of a community or not, you can't put them up on a pedicure. You know, you gotta bring them down to your level. You can't have them up on a pedicure, otherwise you in your head they're up higher than you, and you can't have that.
Way to go, Ashton. Now we just lost Mike Tyson as a listener. Way to go.
With a bite to the ear, no less.
Yeah. So, episode 55, for those of you that speak the Queen's English, pillar or punching bag. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, and with me, as always, is the Peanut Gallery, Jazz, Sibh'Bae, and our call screener, Yunfei, back from her mysterious adventure in the Far East, where she found me, the Jade Monkey, by the next full moon. It was in the glove compartment.
Ooh. They put Kishmas back in the dungeon.
Actually, sad thing about Kishmas, he definitely won't be here tonight. He saw one of those robotic sex robots from Japan, and he thought could rebuild that using only his computer parts and rolls of duct tape. It turns out he is neither Japanese, a computer expert, or a robotics expert. And basically, he just had a bunch of computer parts duct taped together, and was using them like a sock puppet.
He's going from bad to worse, man.
I know. It's awful. Or actually, his motherboard and everything else, it had completely fucked up, and he's waiting for parts to come in from, as he called it, FedEx Express, which if you actually say it out loud, is FedEx Express Express or Federal Express Express.
No, that's just a cover story.
Yeah. Of course, then he also realized that his title is like technical assistant. So the world makes no sense anymore. So we're glad to have everybody here today. Of course, you are listening to us live. If you're listening to us live, if you're not, you're listening to us on a podcast. And it could be any day of the week. You could be listening to us right now in your hot tub. Bubbles turning, little bits everywhere, fecal matter floating around you. Look it up. Hot tubs are disgusting.
Ew.
That
Why would you go there, sir?
Why would you go in a hot tub?
it's gonna
They're
haunt my
gross.
dreams, bro.
They're awful, especially if you go to one in a hotel.
Ugh.
God have mercy on your soul. What is wrong with you, you sick, twisted freak? So where was I? Oh, yeah. So you can listen to us, on our on podcast apps, anywhere free podcasts are sold, of course. And you can always listen to us every single Saturday, except when you can't, 7 Central Time, here at twitch.tv/RPMMORadio. That's where you go there. When you're there, you give us a follow, give us a subscribe, just as, who are these people? Let's see here. As William Hohen, Napfed, which, by the way, I love that name. Napfed.
Napfed?
Like you're fed by naps, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I like
That's
that
pretty
one.
clever.
I like it.
Pretty-
I like it. In Obomonus. Obomonus. I don't know. I'm terrible with names, and I barely have the most basic grasp of the English language, as you heard with 55th episode.
It is guaranteed we will butcher your name here on MMORP Radio.
That's right, Strafei.
That's right. Gotta remember that E.
That's right, Jazzy B. Or Sibh'Bae. Because the H, you got to emphasize the H.
The H is not silent.
You put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. Awesome. Oh, man, I'll be honest with you guys. Man, I am freaking tired. I do not know what is wrong with me this week, but I feel like I'm hitting second puberty where you just got to sleep all friggin' day for no reason. It's been both horrible and everything I had hoped it would be. Just
It's been a sleepy
napping.
freaking week all week, bro. I don't know what it is.
Sorry, I was reading something Sib said. She's bad-mouthing me in the chat 'cause she doesn't have the lady balls to do it on the show. Yeah, that's right. I'm reading.
No, it's because I can't get a word in edgewise.
Shut up. No one is talking to you, woman.
Oh.
You're going to get it.
I'm going to jump back to the 1950s. If I want to hear something you have to say, I'll let you know when you can say it and what it will be.
She is supposedly the nice one until we get
Yeah.
off the air.
Oh,
Then God
yeah,
help his soul.
She's
What?
She's mean. She beats me because she loves me.
Oh, no. Battered husband syndrome.
It's so bad.
There, Ashen. You'll make it.
She once asked me if I wanted a turkey or ham, and I said ham, and she's like, we don't have any ham.
No. I said, do you want a chicken dinner? And you said this. What? Oh, no, I lost it. Never mind. I give up. Let's go on.
And
guys
that's
are
why
hilarious. You know
I'm
that,
the
right?
comedian. Quote unquote.
It was an RP thing, and now I forgot how it went. I couldn't remember if it was supposed to be a chicken dinner or a fish dinner,
that
and
one,
it was
yeah.
assumed
Oh,
to
God.
be something
That
else.
was a chicken dinner. She made a chicken dinner for Trithalis, and Trithalis didn't come home. So she was upset because she had slaved and made it perfect just the way he liked it with all his accoutrements. And he didn't show up, so she had to put it away. And they were sitting at the table, and he's like, well, the chicken dinner tastes wonderful. And she bursts into tears and says, this is fish.
Yeah.
See, I didn't. That didn't happen to me. I don't know what's going on there. I was talking about in real life.
That's a roleplay story I failed to mention on our
I
upcoming.
bet.
What did we do in roleplay? Because it was too funny You had to
It was
experience it
hilarious.
to get it.
I was crying through that little episode.
Yes,
Yeah,
and yes.
that's
My joke is
hilarious.
from a comedian who said he always loved watching his dad grow up because he didn't give a shit, and his mom would always test him. She'd be like from the kitchen, "What do you want? You want a sandwich? Yeah. You want turkey or ham? Ham. We don't have any ham." And she'd do it just to watch him go crazy. The fuck you asking me if we have ham if we don't even have any ham?
That would be my reaction. So,
You want turkey? I love that. You want turkey or ham? Ham. We're out of ham. Why did you ask?
I think that would make my eye twitch. That would be so bad.
Mm. Oh man. So all right. So yeah. Follow us there. If you want to subscribe to us with Amazon Prime if you've got one, or just follow the podcast. Join us. You can also help call in on the show and tell us any stories you have that might be prevalent. Unfortunately, no calling in about dead, unknown, celebrities that have absolutely nothing to do with anything, like the 11-year-old
And
tried
can
to
I
last
just say,
week.
okay, if you're an 11-year-old, yes, we will not let you on the show.
Not unless it's roleplay related. I'm willing to
No,
do it.
no.
I'm willing to let an
No.
11-year on if they're like, yes, hello there, I'm calling about roleplay. If they're
And
British,
how many 11-year-olds do you know that talk like that?
British ones, all of them, all the British ones sound like that. It's
Give me a name. I want a name. What? 11-year-old?
Jeeves.
Jeeves.
Holy crap. I don't know any 11-year-old British kids that could call in.
You don't know how many British kids I know.
Something you
I'm
want to
gonna
tell us
go
there,
with
Ashton?
none.
That doesn't sound good when you say
No, it
that.
doesn't, Ashton.
It's
Back
a
settle
little
quick.
Kevin Spacey-ish. Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, just a little.
Just looking for that little mushly on paper, boy.
Shame.
Oh my god.
Shame Bell.
Shame. Shame.
But to be fair, yeah, she's probably right. I'm not going to let a lot of 11-year-olds on here because they're all fucking stupid.
Oh, stop.
What? They are. Have you
No,
ever had an
they're
intelligent
not.
conversation with an 11-year-old? They're all like...
I have an 11-year-old, and yes, they can be intelligent.
Yes, let me point out to you the various times your 11-year-old ran in citing complete, ridiculous, useless nonsense,
Yes.
and you
Oh,
just
I'm
nodded
not
and were like,
denying that.
and you were like, that's real sweet. Now leave.
Yeah, I do. But I have had conversations with them that
Well,
were
I'll tell you
sensible.
what. If we ever want to switch this conversation over to Fortnite, we can have your 11-year-old on.
Actually, he's 13 now. But yeah.
Whatever.
You saw that I posted? That was funny.
Yes, I did see that, and it is unfortunately true. It's funny because it was Ninja Turtles, it was Transformers, then it was Pokemon, then it was Yu-Gi-Oh, and now it's Fortnite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kids are awful, and they talk about really boring things, and they don't even tell a cohesive story. Kind of like us. Huh.
I wonder about that.
Yeah. So, well, there's all that. That was fun. And of course, I want to give a special thanks to our every single one of our Patreon donors, even those that have tried. But thanks to Patreon, right now we only have one at the raid boss level, and that's the Truth Bob. Others have dropped off, but it's just fine. But some of them I think had every intention of being that, but because Patreon is both dumb, or it's not dumb, but they moved their headquarters over to Europe. And now PayPal was apparently, and this it wasn't so much affected us, but
What did you just say?
that Patreon moved over to Europe.
Yeah, but keep going.
After that,
Did you
you
say
said,
PayPal?
PayPal.
You said PayPal. You
PayPal.
said it weird.
yeah, you said
Talk funny.
PayPal.
PayPal.
Thank you. I'm like,
Well, yeah,
am I
because they're
supposed
over
to-
in Europe, so they have the papal stuff now. They're near the Pope. They're closer to God, unlike you filthy heathen.
Oh, okay. That makes no sense.
Yeah,
But go for
see,
it.
UK
Okay.
has it. You steal from Peter to pay Paul.
PayPal.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
That was awesome.
Actually, she
Okay.
didn't say that. She just said she was mocking me. I just turned it around. That I'm not going to pick on Yoon Faye. She's had a rough week.
But that's what you said was PayPal.
Papal. Yeah, because papal. Like there's amazing papal
You're
boots.
really having a little trouble tonight.
I am
having
really
lots of
tired.
bad-
Did I
A
mention
little.
that part where I was really tired?
Yeah.
You
You
did
may
mention
have
that
mentioned
part.
that.
Yeah. So apparently Patreon moved over to Europe, and now PayPal, for all those people that are getting charged, it's denying it because it's like a strange overseas charge now. So apparently,
fantastic!
like people, like we do.
Sorry.
All right, that was random.
I don't want to know.
But-
I was hoping my Gatorade had a dent in it, and I didn't like it.
Sure it did, darling. Sure it
Sound
did. You
like
okay,
shit.
Ashton?
She told me I fell down the stairs. I'm sorry.
Go get ice for your face, bro. I know what
I'll be
happened.
okay. But yeah, so it's not so much affected us. I think we had one person that had a problem with that, but there's people that make thousands of dollars on Patreon, and they went from they got like a quarter of what they would usually get because of something like that. So yeah, that's a bad one, especially for
That's a
people
wee
that
bit annoying. Yeah.
that live
that's a
off
little
of
annoying.
that kind of stuff, their projects and their art or what, I don't know whatever the hell people use Patreon for. Porn, I don't know. So yeah, but I appreciate everybody. Truth Bob, you the man. Appreciate everybody else that helps support the
Yes.
show, both financially and just by listening to it. I mean, awesome. Appreciate it. So I don't continue to ramble on here. Let's go ahead and see what we've been doing in Roleplay. Now, I know last week we had the mailman come, and this week. Oh, it's my. Oh, come here, Fred. Come here, Fred. Come here.
She's like, huh? No, I ain't coming
that's
in.
Spanky.
Oh, Spanky.
Okay, Spanky. For those on the camera, you can see this big fat lug. All right, Spanky. When I am pointing at names, you stare blankly and like an
Oh
idiot
God,
into the
he's
camera,
so cute.
and then right there, that one. Is that the one you want? Okay, yeah. According to Spanky, Jazz has to go first.
Good choice, man. Good choice.
Good job, Spanky. He weighs a metric fuck ton. Oh my God, I think I have a hernia now. All right, so Jazz, what have you been doing in Roleplay?
I can't help it. When she laughs, it makes me laugh. Stop laughing, Jazz.
I'm trying. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do this like a newscast. Kia Karis bears the best news this week, having born her child a daughter and named her Zoe. Her daughter was born a week late, and though hard labor was an uncomplicated delivery, suckled immediately and soon to give her parents fits of no sleep and a learning curve to frighten most. On an OOC level, much rejoicing has been heard, as I am no longer in Preg ERP, which drives me insane, almost as much as actual pregnancy did.
I was there during one of them. I can. Yep.
Was not fun.
No.
Cial continues to heal from her wounds, her broken neck now fully healed up and with a clean bill of health from her healer, physically at least. She is still learning to walk again and uses some unique crutches her mentor Trithalis made for her, which end at a grip for her hands and then curl around her lower arms for support. Her mental scars will be the next hurdle and addressed soon, as they are currently hidden from view, but not for long.
Dun, dun, dun.
Sully continues to manage her growing power base, using spies and gathered intelligence to keep an eye on things in her Telvanni group. She's continually testing loyalty and trustworthiness of her allies and associates, naturally vigilant in such things due to her mother's violent poisoning death by the very people she trusted. Sully may have trust issues. Sully is determined not to go out like that. She says, I will see it coming, or it will not come until age is given my soul. She really believes this, poor thing. She is determined to stay in her position of power earned and constantly watches everyone around her. Zasher struggles with internal demons from his past, as well as managing to fit in with the temple and servants of the tribunal within the group he's settled into. He secured a dinner date with two lovely mer that he works with, so that he and Kiz can double date and enjoy the company of these fine females. A wedding last week and a visitation from Telvanni into the Abbey promoted a situation where Zasher offered to punch a clergy who was demanding to be punished, but stopped himself at the last moment in time to see that it would have been a grave mistake. The clergy was sequestered due to her need to be punished, and Zasher learned an important lesson about sticking to his gut instinct. The end.
The end. Well, very good.
Very well done.
Very well
Thank
done.
you.
Very well done.
I swear you guys are making me feel like a slacker because you guys are typing this stuff up and like you're being pros and I'm just, it's sad.
It's all right. I'm amazing enough for both of us.
Yeah, you are.
Ha 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 ha. All right. Well, anyway, I'll go next because who doesn't want to hear me talk like a woman? Show of hands. Oh, that is a sea of hands. Wow, that is a vast ocean of hands. So anyway, a lot happened with Tarvala this week, so I'll just read her journal because it's easier and I'm lazy than making up a story. So, hello, Mr. Journal. Things are about to change forever. I was promoted to High Ordinator of War this week. I worked so hard for this, but I didn't know if they would think I was ready for it yet or not. Apparently, they did. I think I knew, but self-doubt is an ever-present shadow like a parrot on a pirate's shoulder, always there, squawking into your ear and shitting on it. It's always been a very dizzying. It's actually been very dizzying since Mundus. Catching up on the current troop movements, worry spots, scout reports, and the list of 100 other things as long as Bull Netch's tentacle. Getting there, though, I can't write about much of it here as movements are classified, and while I doubt highly anyone would ever get a hold of this, it's not worth the risk. Ha! I know top secret information I can't even share with you, Mr. Journal. Don't worry, I'll keep you in the loop as best I can, though. For example, I've started to work on an area for the War Ordinators, and others, if they need it, to use. It's going to have places indoors to fight, fists and weapons only, no magicka because, indoors. A place to eat and gather, a map of the lands, and a secure location for my office off-site, outside of the upstairs floor of the Abbey. I'll have one of the desks there still, but largely just make it so reports easier to find their way to me. This place will be a good deal more secure. It's so strange to put on that silver armor after so long taking orders from many good and a few very bad High Ordinators and one particularly horrible commander, not Regier, surprisingly. I have worked my way into those ranks without political connections, backstabbing fellow Ordinators, or making deals. Just hard work and proving myself. It feels pretty good, actually. So much of my life has been miserable for the sake of others largely being my mother, but still. Going to the clergy and having my marriage arranged to an Indral, to leaving it all behind and following my strengths and desires. Not my heart. People always say, follow your heart. But I've seen a lot of people that end up miserable and often divorced following their heart. No, follow your strengths and your desires. Your heart might tell you you can sing when you actually sound like a guar in heat. Careful with that thing. It can be a little cruel. Oh, and one last thing. I finally told someone about my sword, the Ashen Phoenix. Dravis, actually, noticed that it had changed again. I'm not about to lie to my commander after just being promoted, so I finally came clean about the sword. I could tell he was really dubious and worried it might be heretical, but after explaining it, he agreed it likely wasn't. I even offered to take it to Vol'in in Inquisition, but he vetoed that as an unnecessary need for now. I'm not sure what prompted the morphing this time, other than the promotion. It always seems to know these things and adapt accordingly. It went from a thick, heavy blade that was, to one that was far thinner, lighter, with an edge only on one side and a slight curve to it. Sounds like a few men I know, actually. Anyway, I'll have a bit of practice, and I think I'm going to get to like it. It's faster and versatile, but we'll see. As for now, Mr. Journal, I got reports to read. Sigh. Okay, so that's me. There's mine.
Awesome.
Layside.
So, Sib, how about you?
Okay. I've had another full week of RPs. I had actually got on Ninth, my ordinator character, this week, and I attended a wedding of two of the ordinators. I felt like it was the right thing to do because it was Malel and Aaron's who were getting married, and Malel was one of the characters that Ninth has gone through all her trials with, has had a lot of just a lot of highs and lows with, and I felt like it was just, it would be something she would attend. Then I was able to also RP with Tervis, who is her in-game love interest, and it was nice to be able to hang out. And we went to the open air halalu market in Nisus, and did just kind of looked around, which was really a lot of fun. It's I'm not for sure what guild hosts it, but they have it kind of just set up where there's booths and everything, and you can go around and just look around. And they purchased some wine, some candles, some wine from an orc, some candles from some Argonians, and a tapestry to put up in Tervis's room. And then they went back to Ninth's barrack room and just hung out and talked, which was really nice because I hadn't got to hang out with him in quite a while because he's upside down, and I'll show you, is what we always say. But it was just nice to hang out with him. Then on my little clergy, Kilvin, I taught a class, which I am not a huge event runner. It's not something I do. I'm not real comfortable with it, but it was just a small class, and I had set it to hopefully run about an hour. But it was basic healing 101, where I know in ESO and a lot of fantasy lore games, you have magic to do a lot of the healing. And in ESO you have magic, you have scrolls, you have potions. And Kilvin, during the class, somebody had asked the question, what about potions? And she's like, but what if you don't have those? Or, what if you've lost them? What if something has happened and you don't have your scrolls and potions to fall back on? You really should know how to tend to a wound. So she went over the basic 101 of tending to it. Like, you always want to make sure you clean it out. And she was using a 1 foot by 1 foot chunk of guar meat, and doing her little demonstration on and everything. And I think it turned out good. Everybody seemed pretty positive about it. She showed him how to actually stitch the wound and then go on to bandage the wound. So after all that, I was chatting with her mentor, basically, Acolyte Ralds, who is supposed to be teaching her the way, what she needs to know to move up to Acolyte, and then so on. And they were standing there talking, and the curate came down, and she basically put Kilvin in charge of the infirmary until further notice, which was a huge shock because I'm like, didn't expect this. But I told him I'd roll with it and see where it goes. And I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a big fan of being in a leadership role or being in charge of anything, just because my time to play is limited, and I have 2 guilds that I actively role play in. I have several RP friends that I have active storylines going with. So, but we'll see where it goes. I'm excited. It made me feel good because I was like, okay, I did good on teaching this. And then my other character, Voli, who's my orc, I have been doing a lot of RP with Trithalis, who is Strafe's character, and we've really kind of pushed the romance on those two. and it's been so much fun and so different for me, and I've really enjoyed it. I mean, it's like a soap opera. I think Sibh'Bae said that earlier. That's like the days of our lives, but I've just really had a lot of fun with it.
The
And,
days of our mirror.
Or Telemundo.
Yeah, last night they got into it. Everything's been going really smooth, but last night his character is just so sweet. Yeah, proper. Thank you. Just so proper and sweet, and he's always complimenting her. Well, from her past, she's not had a good past, and she's heard, people like up in Rift when I've been up there RPing. I've had a few people be like, hey, pig nose, what are you doing in our bar? And I'm like, I just RP'd out that she's like ignores them, but she's an orc, so she knows that how she looks, and from her past, she's had a lot of trouble because of, especially her. She's an albino orc, and so she's all white, and so she just looks different. She's different from orcs. She's different from, everybody. So, but it's fun, and I'm excited to see where this goes. And like I said, last night they had a huge fallout, and so now we're gonna see. I don't know, but with the dice and his flowery words, it just set her off. So, but that's my role play. Hope it wasn't too long.
Someone's
Sorry.
in the doghouse.
He is indeed.
What are you gonna do now?
He's gonna try something.
This is why I tell you, invest in paper bags. Just put it overhead. That way you're not.
Oh, no.
You don't need to. You don't feel obligated to compliment her to overcompensate for that face.
That's so mean.
What?
It is so mean. She's beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's what I think of when I look at Wild Boar too.
Oh, stop. God,
Did you say wild boar?
Hmm?
He did. He did. Punch him for me.
Oh, if I could reach you, what are you looking at?
So, Sibh'Bae, sounds like you got some ditch digging to do. What have you been doing in role play?
When you're in the ditch or the hole, the best way to go about it is to dig yourself a staircase right out of the hole.
That's right.
So let's see, what have I been doing? Monday I wasn't here. Trath RP. Well, let's read that.
Oops. Mm-hmm.
Thus held his Order of Aldmer's Poetry Hour on time, as he does every week. The turnout was slow at first, but soon blossomed to a full house. Just when things looked to be an ordinary evening, the orc war maiden Voli strode in, clad in war leathers, carrying twin swords, and a plethora of pale skin showing here and there. This caused him to smile just so, despite himself. And so the night began. Lord Stranrick regaled the gathering the latest song. Lord Daltoy could be counted on to issue a thoughtful, provoking lament. I, of course, started them all off with a cheerful verse. The merits of young love. The night wore on, and all seemed to be happy with their lot, when finally the last guest departed. He was yet again alone with the object of his affections. She seemed to read his mind, as she wore quite the grand visage upon her face, tusked and accentuating her fair features. What followed was, of course, a tender moment, a bite, and a gentle murr shall never kiss and tell on such details. I later sought counsel with my oldest friend, Lady Sully, on the matter of an unhealthy infatuation. I, of course, told her of my fears, age outliving her. If I was being honest about things, she smiled and informed me that I was simply feeling guilty over loving an orc woman more than my dearly departed Lady Farah. I believe she told me in her colorful way to stop being stupid. Ghastly, really. Terrible woman. Unfortunately, such grand designs took a turn for the distasteful in the following few days. I seem to have crossed a line, striking a nerve, if you will, on complimenting her on her beauty. This caused quite a grand argument, one in which my charms failed to convince her of the latter. She informed me that we were wrong and something about a curse. She stormed off into the evening storm, and I was left most distraught. And that was my RP for the week.
Very well done. You guys are making me feel bad.
I'm
writing a story next week. Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to hear it. It'll be like, yeah, a stupid elf boy. He sent flowers. I fed him to my horse. What an idiot.
I don't know if I could do a good orc voice. It'd have to be kind of choppy.
I'm an orc.
Give me something to throw at
Lord.
him.
You need something to throw at him, like old shoes. Just like go to Goodwill, buy some old shoes.
I'm not pretty.
I'm gonna
I'm an orc.
Let's go watch any war
Gatorade bottle for the win.
I imagine they talk something like this with they'd have to have their teeth out in the front of them in a very gravelly sort of voice. Is that better? I'm not going to do a female version. They all sound the same.
Oh, geez.
So, well, good job, everybody. That sounds like we have another good week of role-playing. So, with that, let us go to our sponsor for this episode from the company known as Crapco. Hey, Dick Winkleman here with an exciting new product from Crapco, makers of world-famous products like Ghost Paper Lip Balm and the ever-popular Do-It-Yourself Dentist. Comes Community Punching Bags. These lifelike inflatable wonders can take a licking and keep on ticking. Like all community leaders across everything from raiding to roleplay, dungeon grinding, and crafting, and even erotic RP, any cream that rises to the top gets slammed down by those around it like a bad game of whack-a-mole. With Crapco's new community punching bags, you can make that one person everyone looks up to your own personal bitch. Our amazing technology lets you print out their faces on an 8x10 piece of paper using your own printer and using our proprietary tape technology to place it on our cylindrical blow-up replicas so that you can punch them one proper right in there over snooty mouths. It's even weighted at the bottom so that every time they stand right back up, so you can throw them down again, just like you do verbally in every game, every night, because look at them. Why wouldn't you? Those smug pieces of shit have it coming. So, call now for your very own community punching bag. Get one for $19.99 or a dozen for $249.99. What a bargain. Don't delay. Buy one today. From Crapco. Yes, sir. Sounds like a real deal right there. Don't you
I'm passing
know?
that deal.
No, that's that right there is a good basic math. You should always, if there's one thing I've learned, you always get the bundles. Isn't that right, Costco and Sam's Club? Always check that stuff. It's not always cheaper. Just make good financial advice.
It's true.
And besides, if you really need a 55-gallon drum of mayonnaise, you should probably look at your life choices.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there.
I mean, I like my mayo, but
That's a little much.
it's a little much. Yeah, that's a good way to put that. A little much. So, this topic actually was brought to us by a listener who has to remain anonymous, which is totally fine. When we say that we'll keep your secret, we mean we'll keep your secret. So the thing that they had is pillars of the community. Now, I use that term with quotation marks because we've actually I've seen people use that term like, I'm a pillar of the community. And if you have to say that, you're not a very good pillar of the community, for one. But there are always people, you know, it happens in everything, you know. There's people on Twitch, for example, you know, the ninjas and the ones that get up there that, you know, really can make and break things for people. And they're, for the most part, most of them are pretty cool. And then every now and then you get some pretty shitty ones, you know. But even the best of the best that really are just doing it for fun, they're there for entertainment. there's always somebody that wants to watch them fall. You know, it's the same thing for Hollywood actors, sports people, politicians, but I mean, they all have it coming because they're all dirty scumbags. No, it's not personal opinion. That's just a straight out fact. But you know, every time that stuff happens, there's any time you do a lot for a community, or you do a lot of, in our case, role play and things like that. People, there's a handful of people that tend to get a pretty good name. They get a good reputation, and they kind of rise up above the others a little bit. And they, for the most part, a lot of them try to do the best they can with what they've been given. Because you're only in that position because the people, like we say in all role play, it doesn't exist if the people around you don't allow it. So with that also comes, you know, the higher you are, kind of the higher target you are. So like I was saying, so some role players, you know, they get active, they play games, they love the RP, and that as they tend to get known and rise towards the top, you know, that you could, like we said, you could call them pillars. It's not my favorite thing. You could say they're well known or famous. Community leaders is another really popular one. All of them really kind of apply in different ways, whatever you want to call them, but they do tend to exist in almost every community, and, you know, doesn't really, like I said, it doesn't really matter where it's at. In this case, this particular listener does it because they, you know, they love what they do, and knowing where they come from too, I can, you know, say pretty certainly that is absolutely true. But it also can be lonely at the top, like we've mentioned with guild leaders and things like that. Everyone always thinks, oh, it must be so awesome.
Nope, it's not.
But it's not always
like you said, people delight to see you fall. I don't know what it is, but they just like to see somebody of that stature fall in the mud.
Yeah, well, it's a really unfortunate thing, and I know here in America for sure, but I'm fairly certain it's worldwide. I think it's just we have far too much time on our hands, at least in first world countries. You know, you third world countries, you're just trying not to drink your own feces because, you know, they're the same water source, and that's awful, and we feel bad for you. You should donate to people that have to do that. It's awful. Well, now that I've brought the whole show to a screeching halt with reality. But no, I really think people they have so much damn time on their hands anymore that they pick these stupid things like this, and they see someone rise to the top, be whatever profession they're in, and there's nothing more that people love to do than look up to their heroes in awe and inspiration and draw from that. And then, except of course the part where the other thing they like more than even that is watching that hero crash to the earth like a meteorite and fall in a blazing ball of glory. I don't know what people get out of watching, you know, wanting other people to fail like that, but it is an unfortunate thing, you know. So like I was saying, so this this particular listener, they love what they do. But lately they've started finding themselves maligned, shamed, feeling needless hatred directed towards them for like no reason at all, other than that they're just, you know, they're slightly higher profile than some other people. So that high profile puts a target on your back, you know, tall guy in the crowd kind of sticks out a little bit more. It's easier to throw a pop bottle at it during a concert. Not that anyone should ever do that. Don't throw pop bottles. They hurt. Isn't that right, Sib?
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Exhibit A.
Where'd you get that Gatorade bottle? Man.
Yeah, it hurled at my head shortly about 5-10 minutes ago. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
I just saw on the Twitch channel.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Battered husband syndrome rolling in action.
Shush you.
But to the point you know, they're such a target at this point that they didn't want to use their real name because they didn't want it to get out and cause more trouble. They're afraid of causing more trouble. They're trying to tap it down, not make it worse, which is the difference between usually a good leader and a bad one. But at the same time, it sucks away all the fun and love they've had, and they have to deal with it instead of doing what they want. They're stuck dealing with this bull crap, and like I said, and we're not gonna if anybody ever has something that you guys want to bring to us like this, we're more than willing to talk about it. In fact, we usually we'll probably, unless we have other stuff already planned, we'll move it towards the top of our queue of shit to talk about. Mm-hmm. But this one here in particular, I think is fairly important too, because I've seen it firsthand. Jazz, I know at least as a guild leader, you've had it happen to you where you've been needlessly maligned. You've had
for years.
Yeah, websites built around your guild saying all sorts of false accusations from people that just have nothing better to do with their time.
I found those sites back in the day, and it was horrible. That was before I was in the guild.
They put vile pictures and things.
Very vile
stuff.
It
was vile. Yeah. It made
later
made our trolls look like, oh, that's where you guys went.
Yeah, and then after I was in the guild, later those same sites were then featuring some of my RP in that, trying to destroy Jazz. It was bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just no point to it.
And you know what I find amazing is that, like, Jazz, she doesn't let it stop her. So I mean, kudos.
It's a near thing
because I don't think I could do it.
Yeah. It almost did.
Uh-huh.
As Ashen and Rangots can attest to, it about broke me.
Oh yeah, it's hard.
I finally gathered up I got pissed. I stopped feeling sad.
She pulled up her panties and tightened that bra, and she went to battle.
She got mad, put on them combat boots, and she said, you ain't gonna pull me down.
Well, I mean, not to give too much credit to it, but if you give in to them, the terrorists win.
That's right. You can't let them win.
You brought out Strafe's hick.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
Exactly what I was told by the two men in this group right now.
Mm-hmm. It's like, are you gonna let those
almost as if they were talking to each other, but it was separately. They both said the same thing to me, that if you let them chase you out of the game, out of the guild, they win, and they know me well enough to know that pissed me off.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was. I will say, it was a little manipulative.
The icing on the cake was like, remember what your grandmother said, and that was like.
I know. I just wanted to slap you. I was just like, how could you use that against me?
How do you bring Graham into this?
Then I watched Jazz turn to full Sith Lord, and I was like, it was so glorious.
Yep. And then I just said, you know what? And I used to have a sign on my computer after that just said F 'em, although not the F part, but the full word. And I kept it on my, it was on my computer for years.
This PG-13 moment brought to you by Jazz, who doesn't know how to say fuck.
I'm trying not to, because I swear so much. My kids have all learned to swear, and I feel bad.
Yeah, I know. We've heard.
They swear like little sailors, and it's my fault. So
on more than one occasion.
On my
Yeah, but, and that was just as a guild leader. And I don't know, and Jazz was never like, I'm going to be a community leader. She's like, I just want to lead my own little corner of the world, interact with some people now and then. And, but how that stuff usually comes about is things like she said in the past, hunter monster thing that she was talking about, where the guy like, no, you can't do that, where they god modded and metagamed that stuff, things like that, the psycho lunatics that have to win and things like that. I keep saying things like that and things like that. The things like that. Those things that are like that.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, too, I think I got interrupted, or I lost. More than likely interrupted myself and lost my train of thought. If you want to call the show, RPMMORadio.com/Discord. Join our Discord server. Our caller waiting room is waiting for you with the lovely Yunfei there to make sure your mic works, that you're not 11, and that you want to talk about dead celebrities. That it's topical is what I'm getting at. So let's move on here. So there's three kinds that we've all kind of seen. There's three types of, well-known people, people that rise up. There's those that get there. Excuse me, I keep hiccuping and it's really awful. I can't talk. that get there by being active. They want to help people. They making the community at making community-wide events that try to include everybody, even those shameful blacklisted guilds. They include multiple guilds. They'll include freelancers. They just try to make the community around it better.
Even the Purple Wookiee Guild?
Especially the Purple Wookiee Guild, because
Oh,
they
no.
have the power to fix them through the power of love, like Care
John.
Bears. Or is that friendship? I can't even remember which one the Care Bears had. Was it friendship or love? I think it was both.
It was something.
Yeah. Their radioactive bellies just saved the day. That's all I know.
I like gummy bears.
We were talking about the Care Bears, but all right. I mean, that's a totally different property, nerd. You don't even know the
They're
difference.
related.
Don't
You
know
guys
the
were liking
difference
Care
between
Bears. I can like gummy bears. Okay.
don't know the difference between Care Bears and
tired,
gummy
too.
bears. Just so dork.
I know there was a grumpy bear, and you got ready to see him.
Yeah, there was also an FU bear, and
It was not.
I liked Stormy Bear, the one that had the storm cloud, because he was like their Eeyore. So anyway,
Okay. Sorry, I derailed you.
but yeah, so but you know they just don't end up they just get out there, you know, like, and people start to look up to this person. They've proven that they can keep their word, you know, which is a very important thing in roleplay. You know, when someone says they're going to do something, it's a lot of time, you know, real life can get in the way, things like that. So when somebody is consistently able to keep their word, they can gain people's trust, and they're reliable and things like, you know, they do what they say they're going to do. It tends to elevate them up, and people start to see that. And they don't use the authority that they're given by the players to manipulate or threaten other people's roleplay. They're good, honest people. They're just there to have fun. They just want to help people. The other kind is those that kind of do many of the same things. You know, they're active. They're quote unquote helping people, but at the same time, it's always you may always start to notice that their help is also largely self-serving and seems to always bend back on a way that really benefits them. But they're like, you know, they're just in it for the glory and the fame. They actually are setting out to be, I'm going to be a pillar of the community, which what game was that we were playing that someone was like, I'm a pillar of the community? Was that Guild Wars 2 or something?
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, I'm a pillar of the community, and what you're doing is wrong, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, you're okay. First of all, if you say you're a pillar of the community, you're like one of those ancient pillars that's crumbling and at the bottom of the ocean and tipped over, and, you know, pyramids of Giza or something. You're not one of those like the Colosseum that's lasted for thousands of years.
I
Some of those
swear
guys-
I'm not hearing right. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't interrupt.
Now, some of these folks that actually work really hard, and they just want to roleplay. They don't even realize they're a pillar of the community until someone like says, "Oh, you know, everybody knows you," and you're like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
I'm just trying to play my character.
Yeah, they don't. It doesn't even dawn on them that they,
Yeah.
you know, until like someone may point it out, and even then they're like, "Whatever, that's fine. Whatever, I don't care. I'm just doing my thing."
I went in mini circles, and everybody knew who Xanis was, and I was like, "Wow." It's like, and I was playing my evil assassins. Like, I can go everywhere, and I still hear about this jackass dark elf.
See, you might not be wrong, but
That was funny.
I never did anything like all that stuff. Yeah, I role played my character. It was no big deal.
Yeah, exactly. That was my point.
Yeah.
Everyone knew who he was. I mean, back when I first met Xanis, my character was virtually unknown at the time, except for our very small circle. And Xanis was well known even then.
Yeah.
Enough that when he showed up, it got Baka's attention. So, yeah.
See, I had no idea. I really didn't. I just thought I was some nobody that just played with Jazz all the time. And
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And others.
You roleplayed really well, and you roleplayed with a lot of different people, and slowly your name starts circling around. Hey, this is a cool dude. Later, it came back on me, except it was like everybody knew who Rengots was. Like, I don't even know half these people. How do they even know I exist? And
Yeah.
because
like
I
you're a
just
good
attended
dude,
things.
you're an asshole, but you're a good player.
I was the anti-Xanus in
Yeah.
that, but yeah.
Yeah, because it was a lot of people said that they hate your character, but they loved you, which that's kind of what you wanted, so that worked out fine.
So.
Yeah. But, and most real community leaders, they just are, it's, and this,
Excuse me.
Bless you.
oh, bless you. I was like, what the,
That was such
was
a
that
cute
me?
little cute sneeze.
It's not
That's
nearly
because it
as,
exploded inside my head instead of outside.
yeah, mine are violent explosions like dynamite. Yours is more like a sparkler.
It was like a chew. It's so sweet.
But yeah, so the second kind, the worst kind, if the pillar of the community, which, like I said, don't just don't ever self-identify as that, or a community leader or something like that. It's one of those. I'll go down this here. And we, like I said, we've seen people do that. Often they'll threaten someone or even groups of people to destroy their role play, or they'll spread false information that also makes them look better than the rest of them, or they'll blacklist players. Someone I saw, excuse me, good grief, I just have the worst time tonight. I forget who it was. I saw somebody in the chat had mentioned blacklisting, and anybody, like, I get it. There's certain people I might personally blacklist, but if you're high up in a community and you're telling other people, like, no, you should never roleplay with this person, they're awful, like, and you should put them on ignore and take my word for it. No, like, I've warned...
You should never take their word for it.
No, I warn people, I'll warn people, like, hey, be careful with this guy, they're ERP hounds, just keep that in the back of your head, but you've been, forewarned is forearmed,
If you don't investigate for yourself, like, I heard all kinds of crap about Silver Circle back in the day, and I talked to the leadership anyway, and I was like, dude, these people are full of crap. But if I believed them, I would have, like, run off to some idiot guild and suffered all their derpness.
Yeah, or...
Yeah, we were blacklisted for a long time, but in the end, most people didn't listen and would want to come and find out for themselves, and then they'd find out that it wasn't true and were able to roleplay with us. So,
okay.
And now they're gone, and we're on a radio show. Revenge is sweet. So sweet.
Insomniac in the chat said another one, and there's just so many things assholes do that I ignore them so often I forget about this. Another one is that if you don't roleplay with them, or you'll get banned. So they'll threaten, like, don't roleplay with this person, or if you do, you're going to be the same league as them, and we're not going to, my group of followers over here is going to have nothing to do with you. Or, you'll get removed, as X Malexia said, apparently has happened, you'll be removed from the guild without thought, just based on what this person says. Those are not the kind of leaders that, that's not following a leader you should be following and trusting.
and that's why and I suppose, I don't know what I would have been like had this not happened to me, so I can't say that. I would like to believe that I would have had the same opinion. But we never blacklisted anyone, even people that were like, wow.
Yeah.
We're out there. We never blacklisted people. What we would say is they can't come back to the guild.
We had a list, but it was like,
yes,
here's the offenses this person has done.
right.
If you roleplay with them,
yes,
you do so at your own risk. We are not going to, as a guild and as officers, we have what happens. Now, when he hurts you, we will be here for you, but we are not going to deal with him or her.
right, or her. We would have a list of people that said you can RP with them till your heart's content, but do not involve the guild in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, if you get
Don't
kidnapped,
invite them,
you better chew through those ropes, because that's the only way anyone's going to come and find you.
Because nobody in this guild is going to come find you
Yeah.
if that's who you're role playing with. And it was, it was a hard decision, and I think we only had like 6 or 7 people.
It was fairly
over
short, and they
10
were
years.
and they
that-
were
that-
severe
that-
cases. Yeah, it was not
Yeah,
something.
they were pretty bad.
And it had to be, if I remember right, it had to be it. I don't think it was unanimous, but it had to be a majority
Yes.
of officers to even be.
We had to
put
have
on
a
that.
majority of officers who voted. And we had I guess you could say an officer's channel. And when somebody ran across someone or had an issue with someone that they felt was bad enough, they could throw it out there and say, this someone is someone I don't want us interacting with. We'd hear their case, and then we'd take a vote.
Yeah.
And you voted whether or not you agreed. Not necessarily, and you couldn't agree if you had never role-played with them. So if there weren't enough votes, then that person didn't get added to the list. It would be like, you're welcome to warn people.
Yeah, you still do that, but...
Yeah, but we're not going to tell people
and the other thing, too, was, like, warning. But we wouldn't let them go out and be, like, needlessly making shit up. It's because you're not helping. For one, it's a pathetic use of your time. And two, it doesn't help a situation that already sucks as it is. You don't need...
That's true.
People are assholes enough without making stuff up about them. You just, So
Yep.
you don't need to make things up to make it worse. It's the people like we were talking, that do false reports of racism or things like that, or that they make up something in about somebody. It's just pointless. Why? Why are you doing that? You're not. For one, when in the cases of the people that, like you were talking, Jazz, about the guy that had put bad words on his garage and he had black paint on his hands, that we were talking about the other week. That stuff like that hurts the cause of actual racism far more, when you're...
Yes, it does.
Because it's the idea of like, well, we're just trying, or whatever. If it's not racism, it's hatred of any kind. If it's towards gays or conservatives or liberals or whatever shit thing people do, you don't need to make it up. People will do dumb stuff on their own. Trust me. I don't need... People don't need help being stupid. But
junior high antics, but in game, and man, I didn't like it then, and I sure don't like seeing it in game.
Yeah, and you hurt, like those people, if they're gonna do that stuff, like Sibh'Bae Psycho, you didn't need to make stuff up about her. What happened was gonna happen, and the light of day was eventually gonna shine through. But if you had made stuff up about it on top of that, then no matter what comes through, you've already tainted your credibility, and you've already hurt the cause. It's like I say the racism thing, 'cause it's the easiest one. Everybody knows exactly what that's like. What it is. You may not have ever had it happen to you. I don't know. Damn white people. Am I right, guys? Am I right? Kill Whitey.
I like how,
Kill Whitey. Right.
I like how she's got a proper title on the show. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, but when you do that, the real cases of real racism, the ones that come out, you've hurt that cause, because now, even if that has actually happened, people are like, well, remember when this guy did that? What if it's the same thing? And that's stuff that you really you shouldn't have to be doubting. Well, he probably did it himself. You're hurting everything, and it's the same. Happens the same way in roleplay. If you're gonna make stuff up about people when they're already bad people, you're only hurting yourself, and you're only gonna make it's gonna take that much longer for the truth to come out about them. And the third type, getting to this, and lastly, is really more often, to me, it seemed like a separate group, so that's why I put it here. Those that often support number two, doing far more of the work, as they are a lot more of the number one kind. It's a number one supporting a number two, but but they don't
Very
have
clever, sir.
But they don't have the confidence of of the pillar of the community type person. But they do all the work, and that person gets all the credit, and they're basically just being used by the darker pillar, I guess, as we could call it. There's the light pillar and the dark pillar. Sounds like a young adult's novel starting out already. But yeah, in those people, they often, they'll do a lot of the same work, and but they're always in the shadows. They're kind of shy, maybe, but they typically get used, and they support. They can support the second types, the dark pillars, and I just kind of pity those people, because they tend to, when everything goes bad, like we had with that one thing where we talked about some time ago where someone Strafface Psycho tried to rewrite that guild history. They had a number 3 there, and that's the one that took the fall for that entire thing, basically. And kind of was just left there holding the bag like, what happened? But just, why am I holding this bag full of shit and everyone's pointing fingers at me? You know?
They gave it a seduction. They let the manipulation happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all right. So with those 3, that's the 2 main kinds. With the third one's kind of we'll call it a hanging Chad. To go back all the way to, was that 2000? So, hanging Chads. It's just solidified my thought that all Chads are horrible, horrible people. If you're named Chad, I'm sorry, you're just bad. So, and so moving on with this, I know for a lot of people, because I've seen Jazz with you, they're like, people are always like, oh, it must be so great. Like, the second you log on, you've got Roleplay, and you've got all these people clamoring for your attention, and I'm over here. I'm hoping my RP friend logs in. I don't have anything else to do. Of course, that's also partly the difference in why one person's one way and the other one's the other, because all you do is complain about how you never have any roleplay going on instead of doing a little bit to try to seek it out.
Or create it yourself.
Yeah. But so as great as being on top sounds, like I said, I know a lot of people just, they see it from the outside, like I say, and think, man, you look so popular, look how great they are. They must have so much role play. And the truth of this is, it really is a double-edged sword that can cut both ways. You do have a lot of role play. You do have people reaching out to you and things like that. But you also, on the flip side, get drug into a lot of roleplay, and maybe roleplay that doesn't interest you, but because everyone wants to include you, and maybe, well, you find this personally boring, it might be something your character would kind of have to do, and like you can't think of a way not to do it. So sometimes you kind of get drug into things that you would really rather not be using your time on.
And there's also the point that if you say no, then they come after you with pitchforks.
Yeah,
because you think you're better than them or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't sound so bad until like you're like, I'm sorry, it's either you're not interested, you don't have time for it, you've already got something scheduled, whatever the reason is, and it can lead to hurt feelings like, oh well, because we all know those. We nobody likes being rejected. I mean, I get that. I mean, it sucks. That's why it's called rejection and not awesomeness. Because it doesn't feel good. But when someone's hurt feelings come into play, that could change. It could change someone's outlook and sour it a little bit, even though it's not something you have any control over. It can still make things get a little ugly. Once that happens, people, they can start to get annoyed, if you're making excuses, or they start to feel like you're just blowing them off all the time, even if you have legitimate reasons. It also can lead to needless envy from some, or those that think you've scorned them in some way, and thus, that's when the shit flinging and rumors can start. In our listener's case, she was even slut shamed because she enjoyed writing mature themes now and again. People gossiping behind their back to people and friends around them, but never, to their face where they could hey, what's going on? Or, and even writing to people that apparently have done jobs, or that they've done jobs for, and try to get them fired from it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, that is some passive-aggressive crap that's going on all over the place. I'm like, what's up with that, man?
Yeah.
Are you so petty
That's
that
horrible.
you have no empathy for other people, that you are trying to attack them in the real world? I mean, that's ridiculous. Just because your feelings are hurt?
It goes back to mental illness, which is rampant within the community, because we're all isolated people who we're very creative, and a lot of mental illness runs in those circles. So, I mean, I understand it from a scholastic point of view why it happens,
Right.
but it doesn't change.
But
that
at the
it
same time,
sucks.
dick move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's integrity, there's empathy, and then there's a freaking dirtbag move. And guess what they're doing? They're being dirtbags.
Yeah.
And they know it. Obviously, they're being manipulated. They're being malicious, going after people in the real world. It's like, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what kind of person are you to do that? If you have serious self-introspection, see what's wrong with you first.
Yeah, and I've heard stories, not just in role play, but you know, and we've seen it in our current political climate where somebody will say something that given is stupid or it's a bad joke, and then the people demand that they lose their job, which was completely unrelated, and often or not, the company's just like, all right, you're not really worth all this money, so boop, we're cutting you loose. What do you get out of that? You know, and it's the same thing with this. Why would you want to do that? You know, one of the guys over, like I said, I've listened to the Limit Break Radio guys from Final Fantasy 14, and he had said something on Guild Wars 2 that recently happened where two of the people, the developers from Guild Wars 2 were fired, and she had called someone an asshat. It wasn't on a Guild Wars 2 account. It was on her private account, blah, blah, blah. And I don't, you know, I'm all for like consistency. If you're gonna go after one person for doing something, you know, you but not that someone else for doing something the same or even worse, then you're just picking and choosing. You know, she got fired from her job. Another guy kind of that was backing her up at the company got fired as well. And he was just saying, you know, he was just pointing out how pointless that is. That you're going after someone's livelihood and something over what, you know, something unrelated. That was some asshole was clearly being cheeky, and she just called him out on it. And of course, because of what she did, they were like, "Oh no, you can't do that. You have to be. I can attack you, but you can't attack me back and defend yourself." And so
the cry bully syndrome.
yeah, so they were talking about that whole story over at LBR, and oh sweet Jesus, the Guild Wars 2. I like to thank nobody from the roleplay community, because you guys are all better than that. You had better be. But a lot of the people from Guild Wars 2, they actually ended up finding where he works in the real world at his radio station and trying to get him fired there for what he had said. To which his boss and him read over it, and they had a good laugh together. And then they went about their day. Which is really how it should be. Because, like, who gives a shit what a bunch of internet trolls say about a stupid video game when you're just defending someone's ability to defend themselves, you know? And their point was that it was something similar happened to, I forget who it was at the same time. It was a dude, she was a chick, obviously, and the double standard was that they only went after the woman, which, I don't know, could be a sexist thing, could be just, you know, and trust me, I am not one to go with the sexist route right off the bat. Most of the time, I think it's just a shit argument. But there are, I mean, if you watch those comments on Twitter and things like that, man, some of those people, I was like, they're just vile. And, you know, they really are. It's like, how do you not like women? Why are you? What is wrong with you? Have you looked at one before? Is it because you've never touched a boobie? Is that what it is? I'm assuming that's why.
Since Kishmas isn't here, I'll just comment for Kishmas a little bit. Listen. They're soft. They smell nice. They get these wonderful things in their shirt called twins. Hey, what's not to love?
That's right. Thank you, pretend Kishmas.
Or was
You're
that
welcome.
more like you, Ashen, Kishmas?
That was
and all
just for
other guys?
the male population in general.
Yeah. Let's just throw all the males in there.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Even gay guys, they're like, you know, I don't like all the body parts, but they are squishy.
Well, you know, there's always moves.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're talking about why are we talking about Chris Christie now?
Oh no.
He is a massive, massive specimen of a human being. See, I don't care which side you're on. You're all awful. But for people to, I'm with you, Sibh'Bae. I mean, I get it on the intellectual and academic level that Jazz speaks of, and you know, and the mental disability kind of stuff that some of the people have. But I mean, goddamn, guys, it's there's
People
there's
got-
nothing. There's you're
Knowing why
making
doesn't
up
help.
stuff, right? It doesn't help.
I mean, it helps me process it myself to know why people are like that.
It doesn't make me any less pissed off about it.
Yeah,
No.
same here.
Yeah.
But I mean, they still boxed me into a corner and tried to destroy my life on a very personal level. These people came after me with everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't just in
Posting
game.
your personal information, all that stuff.
Yeah. But the good news is because I'm not a complete idiot, they didn't have enough information to find me at my work. And
Well, and even
to,
if you did,
you know-
like, they would have been like, so what's going on? It's like, it's just, I play some stupid game, and these people don't like that I pretend this way, and they're like, really? What the fuck is wrong? Most real companies is just going to be like, what's wrong with these people? You
Yeah.
know?
yeah.
Too much time on their
Yeah.
hands. I mean, if you have that lack of empathy, and you literally are that butthurt where you're trying, people got bills to pay. People have to live their life and survive. If you're trying to ruin somebody, I mean, how crap is your life?
Yeah.
I mean, how would you like? I mean, it's a lack of the golden rule. I mean, think about what you know. How would you want to be treated? And if you're going out and doing that to other people, do you expect it for like a freaking internet mob of trolls to come lynch you at your place of business?
Yeah. You know, and ex-Melixia in the chat, too, as well as, you know, that hell-bent on ruining someone's time in game. Let me just say all these things to brainwash my guild into supporting it. And it is, they're right. It is all too common. And why do you care what somebody? Why is that a thing to you? Just because they're
you know,
well known, or you don't agree with them, or maybe, you know, or if you brought in, you know, which I've seen too, that real world politics comes into it, and they're on opposite sides, and they're not. You know, I'm conservative, I'm liberal. We have to hate each other now, so they start trying to ruin each other over. Why? There's nothing there. Why are you? There's no reason to do that. It doesn't make you right in the end, and it does. All it does. There's no winners in that.
No,
It's
it's
just
not.
a bunch of losers.
You're just ruining storylines. You're ruining time. You're ruining a place where people like want to relax and unwind. You're
Mhm.
bringing the world into it because I guess you're miserable and you want to make other people miserable. Misery loves company,
I
I
think
guess.
that's really
I think
it
that's
right
part
there.
of it. Yeah.
That is right there. That's it right there. Because like when they came after me initially, and it just kind of snowballed because people follow like sheep. So it started, and I had a person who kicked me off of their website say, all these rumors wouldn't be here if there wasn't some truth to it, and we don't want you anywhere near us if there's truth to it.
Right. Which
And
is,
I was like, but it's a rumor.
yeah,
It's not real.
that's the whole accusation without being, you know, what
Right.
anybody can
really
accuse
messed
someone
with
of
my head.
anything. That's why we have due process. And I get it. It's an online thing. You're not going to get a trial, but like basic, like, hey, so all these rumors are coming out. We're a little worried that with this many people coming after you, that there's truth to this. What's your side of the story?
Right. But nobody ever asked me that.
No.
Nobody.
And most of the time
Except
they
my
don't.
own guild and my friends. And
And we knew you were guilty.
that was
Lies, sir.
it really messed with, you can ask, well, I guess you guys, you know too. I
Yeah.
know Strafing knows.
Oh, gosh.
because I still see ghosts in the shadows because they didn't just come after me. You know, they snuck into my guild.
Oh, yeah.
They took screenshots of our chats and then moved them around to make it, and horrible jobs, by the way. They didn't do a cut and paste very well.
Well,
it was
MS
obviously
Paint
just
is
a
not
sort
the
of-
easiest program when that's all you can
Right.
No.
afford.
But I mean, they tried, and some people were gullible enough to buy it.
Bless
And
their heart.
but we had people, two in particular, sneaking into my guild on a regular basis under various tunes until it just became, I could spot them
Yeah, right off the bat.
easily. Right off the bat, I knew they were there, but I often didn't do anything initially because I wanted to see what they do, this morbid curiosity of seeing what they were up to. But even now, when somebody does something, I'll say to Stray, I wonder if that's this person, or I wonder if, so I'm...
You're like uber
18 years
paranoid.
ago, yeah.
I don't
and
blame you,
I'm
'cause
still paranoid about it.
I think it's good to be wary, but yeah, you can't let it run you. 'Cause
Yeah,
you-
and I
right.
don't. I spout off to like Stray, and he'll be like, "You know what I'm gonna say, right?" I do. I'm just. What if it is? And he's like, "What if it is? What are they gonna do?" True. Okay, I feel better now.
Yeah.
So I had to change my perspective, and I put out there to anyone that's undergoing this, if once you are famous or infamous, and they're all equally bad, by the way. I had an infamous character. People assumed that I was apparently a dark elf living in Iowa.
There's that some of that mixing that comes in. It's like,
yeah.
Wait,
really
wait.
start to see you as the...
Like, yeah.
Hold up. You're not a dark elf living in Iowa? I love you, Jazz.
Wow. Sibh'Bae, we need to have a talk about reality after the show. Bring a box.
My
anybody
immersion.
out there that has been targeted and feels bad, I mean, it needs someone to talk to. And I've talked to other guild leaders before, because every guild leader goes through this on some level. But if you're truly in that position like I was, where you've been blacklisted or you feel that you just can't log on anymore, send me a tell. Talk to me. I'll never tell a soul.
Yeah,
but I am
she's
there.
Jazzy B in our Discord at rpmmradio.com/Discord. And like we said, if we're here to help. We want to do all this stuff to help role players and MMOs that get on their feet, navigate some of the uglier waters that does and can come up. And, you know, we've got experience and we're willing to share it. We may not have all the answers. We may not have everything for every situation, because in the end, all we can do is advise you. We can't fix it for you, but we do have, you know, we do have the experience to maybe help you navigate those choppy waters a little bit easier and still come up out on the top. And at the very least,
I'll listen and give you ideas of what worked for me.
Somebody to talk to.
Yeah, just to get, because sometimes that's all you really need is just somebody to say, dude, you're not imagining it, and it's okay to feel like this.
Yeah.
Because I've been there, I'm past it. Now when somebody does that and they start doing that nonsense, I just laugh.
Yeah. Now understand
but back
too.
then it was horrible.
We're also going to be real with you, and we're not going to just tell you what you want to hear. And if it turns out that it sounds like some of what you're doing, maybe maybe instigating it, we're going to tell you that too. So,
because I will say part of what happened with me was some of it I did to myself, because I set myself up with bad people, and I was too nice and too patient, and I didn't nip some things in the bud. And so now when I talk to people, sometimes I'll tell them, this is what you're doing.
You gotta nip it in the bud.
You gotta stop that, because if you don't, this is only going to get worse. Yep. And that's important. I mean, I had to give up ERP completely because of the trolls and the psychos, and I missed it for a while. Now I don't. But there are things that you can do to make it better. Always. Mm-hmm. Part of it's laughing, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot.
And taking a step back and realizing it's all pretend. You know, it really...
Yeah.
If it really affects your life to that great a deal, you really probably do need to step back. I know we've had some people that they verify their existence through this kind of stuff. So when the shit hits the fan like this, it hits them hard. It hits them on an emotional level that can bring about
the game I played
depression
15,
and
18 hours a day.
Bad stuff.
And that was both Xanis and Stray were like, maybe we need to find a different game for you to play for level 1.
She's like, I don't want it.
Yeah, I was like, I like EQ. And they're like, spread out a little bit and find something else to focus on. And I did. And it made all the difference in the world, because I started playing other games. And I realized that this same shit happens in every single game. Yeah. And it's just a game.
I think we got you on one of the ones that was like buy to play, where because it's like, here, just buy it. You don't have to pay monthly, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like Guild Wars 2.
I went to several games that I played just to take a break, because I couldn't get away if I was in game.
Yeah.
So finding an alternate game to play where I wasn't a guild leader, I was a nobody, which, by the way, so refreshing.
Don't worry, Jazz, you're always a nobody to us.
Aw, thank you, sweetie.
You're welcome.
Throw a shoe at him, please.
If you do have fellow
rid of my bottle.
If you do got fellow guild members coming after you, though, because they find out you're politically this or politically that, my advice, because it's happened to me a number of times, just don't engage with them. Mm-hmm. Just refuse. Yep. They'll get more pissed off and then refer this crap to your guild leader. and they will often have your back, especially if you don't engage in the dirt.
Yeah.
I am the.
Oh, there she goes.
But if anybody ever started in on them and they didn't tell me, and then they came to me and they said, this person is doing this, I would lail into that person because nobody deserves that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't care, especially when you bring real world stuff like that into it. That's your reason for downing on somebody. I don't care what side of anything you're on. It's just not acceptable. That's not the way I do my discourse when it comes to politics or I would say sports. But
it's bad
I don't
form.
know any sports.
It's bad form.
It's bad form. I mean, you're showing a lack of decorum, and come on, man, get it together. It's a game. People want to enjoy themselves.
Yeah. So going on to, that's like I said, that's about as best as we can get for why people would do stuff like that. The part that comes after that, once it has started, is dealing with it. And it's not easy. Like the best way and the only way is to just try to rise above it, not let it get to you, which I know is easier said than done. It's easy for me to say, don't let it bother you. It's easy for me to say, they're nobody, or they're just jealous, or they're just being spiteful, and they're just small people. It doesn't make it the sting and hurt really any less.
No. I was so hurt and angry. But it's true, and that's what I've told people. The best thing you can do, and that's what I did, and we went ahead and we made Silver Circle one of the best guilds ever.
Yeah.
Because I just refused. I was like, well, I guess some people are going to hate us and some people won't. And I swallowed my pride, and I said, there was pride in that. I felt like they were maligning something I had worked really hard for, and I felt very angry about that. And then I realized it's a game, and it's digital, and stop it.
Yeah.
And get some perspective, laugh at them, because anybody that comes after you like that in a game, they have issues, hun.
Serious issues.
Wow. You need to just kind of roll your eyes and say, you need help. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I know it's easy, like we said, it's easier said than done, because there's people I don't like. I just don't like them having conversations with them. I just don't like them as individual people. I just think they're bad people. So I avoid bad people just like I do in real life. But, and like we were saying, no matter where you are in the game or in real life, eventually you're going to find people like these. They exist. You work with them too. Hopefully, most of us left a lot of it behind in high school. But as Sibh'Bae had said, miserable people often want to make others as miserable as they are.
Misery loves company, man.
It's a universal thing.
It's a human thing.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Yeah. And of course, being behind the keyboard and a monitor, man, they don't have, the things that they would never say to somebody in real life. They'll just, vomit out into the universe.
That anonymity, I can't talk either.
Anonymity.
That word, yes.
Sea anemones.
Sea anemones. Anonymity.
Anonymity.
Hey, man, the best thing to do, those folks, if they see you're happy, especially if you're one of these supposed pillars of the community, don't give up that happiness. It'll make them crazy. And either they're going to get happy.
Happiness is the best revenge.
It's the light that, burns away the disease. Yeah.
So think of Yoda. Keep it together. Lift your X-Wing out of the swamp. And take out Darth issues with your smile.
Yep, Darth issues. I like that.
That is why you failed. Hmm?
That's right.
No.
Now you sound like Grover. You don't sound like Yoda. You sound like Grover.
Grover. Oh, I love Grover. They were the same person. Of course I sound like Grover.
Really?
Frank Oz. Yeah.
Really? Are you kidding me?
No. I'm pretty sure Frank Oz was the original Grover. Yeah. He did a lot of the Muppets.
We learn new things every day.
Yeah.
And he was Yoda?
Yeah, Frank Oz, man.
Yeah, Frank Oz.
I just had my head broken open. This is
Learn
I always thought I was weird because he sounded like Grover.
Learn
I'm looking it up.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I always thought I was bizarre.
He's the voice of
like
both Cookie Monster and Grover.
I knew they were the same person.
Yeah.
But I did not know that he played Yoda.
He was Yoda. Yeah, that's Yoda. Yep.
Help you we did. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Find your voices.
Mine.
Let him have it.
Yeah, I love that. Just hitting it with a stick. Oh man. So, all right. Well, it like I said, this stuff is really easy. It's easy to say. It's hard to do. You really have to. You really have to look at yourself and see. This is where it comes. We're going to get a little meta here. You have to see if anything that they're actually saying has any truth to it. You've got to look inward to yourself. If it does, if you do feel like, well, maybe they have a point here, maybe you'll need to work on that and change it and try to make sure that doesn't happen. And this is easy, again, way easier said than done. Having honest introspection and honestly questioning your own beliefs and principles and morals is a difficult, hard thing to do. And a lot of people, I'll be honest, I don't think a lot of people ever even bother with it. I don't think they get they are the way they are, and they don't question how they got there. Because if you question it, you might not like the answers you get, and then you might be forced to do something even harder, and that's try to change it. So I get it. It's not as easy to think, but if you know, it's what I've said before. The reason I bring it up is it's what I believe in. You have your core beliefs. You have only one thing really in life. Like you can lose your family, you can lose your house, you can lose your job, but if you still have your word, if you still have people know that who you are, they know that you can be trusted, that's something that you can't have. Nobody can take away from you. You can't lose it because you lost your job, because your bank account is zeroed out. You can't lose who you are and your integrity. Yes. From the only person that can lose that is you.
Yep.
And the only way to hold on to that is to really, really focus in and center on what that core and what that philosophy in your life is going to be, so that when somebody throws shit at you, you can look at it and then if you know that shit has absolutely nothing, it's not going to stick to you, you can dodge out of the way like Neo, or if you roll low on your dodge, it can hit you, but it'll slide off like Teflon.
Dude,
my grandma used to tell me, she used to tell me when I would get upset with people, because I was picked on in school as well, and she tried so hard, and I just couldn't, which is probably why when what happened in EQ was so damaging to me, because I was picked on in high school, in grade school. So it was like reliving that, and I had never dealt with it. So it forced me to deal with two demons, not just one.
Well,
but one of the things that my grandma always told me, because she would be like, I don't know why you get so upset when they say these things. These things aren't true, so it doesn't matter. And I was like, well, it's still shit, Grandma, and shit still stinks. And she goes, shit is just food somebody's body was done with. Wash it off and move on. And I was like, that's really disgusting, Grandma.
Yeah.
But she was right.
But
and long after she's dead, I was like, wow, that was actually really apropos, and I just didn't get it because I was young and angry.
Mm-hmm. If you hold your integrity, like Ashton said, man, they always lose, and you can at the end of the day say, hey, I'm true to myself, and they're being a bunch of derpheads. And as for being picked on, yes, Jazz, I was as well, but I threw the bully over the playground, and
pretty sure we
were
were
all good after that.
Pretty sure most of us were probably picked on.
Yeah, and I, when I started fighting back, they left me alone.
You got to pull your Marty McFly on Biff, and you're good.
Yep, and I had to learn that too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think that's why it eventually worked when they were like, don't get upset, get angry. Screw these people.
Yeah. Right. There's nothing wrong with righteous anger. I know it's used in religious aspects, but no, you don't have to. Doesn't have to have anything to do with religion to have righteous anger, or righteous indignation. That is a perfectly okay thing to have when somebody is maligning you. You should stand up for yourself. You should back it's like Sibh'Bae, like you said with the bully. You know, we all know bullying is a bad thing, and we all know most bullies are more afraid of the person they're bullying standing up to them than the person that's being bullied is of the bully. You know, they're cowards, usually very big, strong, meaty cowards.
Yeah.
But they're trying. They may have. Sorry, Sibby's. Go ahead.
No, go for it, Sibh'Bae. I'll say it after you.
All right. Well, I mean, it's like Ashton said. Yeah, they may be the big tough dude, but they got some crap life going on at home. They got something going on they're insecure about. So, you know, it's like the military. Shit rolls downhill. Pardon my language. They're getting it from the top, so they push it down on everybody else, and you know that's kind of how it goes.
That's with every job.
and jobs as well. Yeah.
What are you saying, Sib?
No, I was gonna say, Insomniac in the Twitch chat said also you got to know when to cut off toxic company,
Yes.
which is really true, but it's also really hard for people because if that's all you have to RP with is that toxic company, and you feel like if you lose it, you got nothing else. It's hard. Us being role players, it's hard for us to put ourselves out there because I know it's hard for me to put myself out there.
That is a topic for a whole episode, Sibs, because that reason I dealt with so much crap because I thought I was going to lose all my RP, like all of it.
Yeah, it is really good advice, and I am one of the first to preach it, but because now I know even if I cut out the toxicity of somebody, I still have other people to RP with, and I know there's other good people out there to RP with. Let me put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're not the end all be all of everything.
Yeah, but some people just don't realize that, or they're so new, they don't know, you know, that there's other good
or
RPers.
They've been manipulated and told like, well, if I didn't know people like this in a lot of my life until I met, you know, my ex, and I met her mother, and she was one of the worst people I had ever met in my life. And the manipulation that went on with that, it was like, well, without me, you've got nothing. You are nothing. You know, that kind of it. And they do that to people. They'll do that to new role players. They'll do that to other, you know, just anybody in general. And they really get under their skin that they're just without this person in their life, that they are completely worthless. No one else is going to want you. And if they leave you, you will never find somebody to role play with or be your friend ever again.
Yep.
And I will say our very own Unify actually put in the chat, we never really fear the unknown. What we actually fear is losing the known. And Alexia is like 100%, you know, and I totally agree with that because it is the fear of, you know, losing what we do know. Our comfort zone is what really I think is terrifying to people.
Yeah, that's why people stay in jobs that they don't necessarily like and treat them like shit, because it's the shit they know. They very likely could find a better job that at the very least will treat them better, but they know where they're at. You know, I'm just using that as I think everybody's had at least one of those jobs, so that one seems like an apt comparison. But you know, it sucks to have somebody get that deep into your head, you know, and when people are, you know, and when you're really, like we said, you know, it's about the community leaders and things like that. You know, there's no person that doesn't have moments of, you know, of well shit, you know, that kind of stuff. So, you know, when you get accused of these things, that's why, you know, like what I have, you know, when I was called basically a racist and a Nazi by one of our guild members, I laughed it off. I mean, it still pisses me off because I know I'm not one of those things, and I had to.
Oh,
laugh
I remember
it
that
off.
day.
Right.
I caught the back end of that day as well.
Right, and you got it too. Or if someone's, you know, I might make gay jokes, and I might do the silly little voices of the stereotypical gay guy. That's fabulous. I'm not a homophobe. For one, I'm not afraid of gay people. I'm pretty sure I could sissy slap with the best of them. You know, I will just give them such a pinch. But I don't I'm. You all right, Jess?
Dang it, man.
Fine, go ahead.
But no, I'm not afraid of gay people or trans people or anything. Phobe, by the way, is just is a terrible use of that word. But I don't care. I'm not phobic. I'm just well, shit, I just had the word and it's not apoplectic. I'm apoplectic about gay people. Just like Alex Jones, who we will miss all the hours of comedy that he brought to us now that all the platforms are dumping him.
I'm going to miss my gay frogs, man.
The gay frogs, which I have my own opinions on because I always think there should be more voices, not less, and even the crazy ones should be heard. That way you know what crazy sounds like. It sounds like Alex Jones.
Yes, it does.
Alex Jones, tinfoil, deep state. Sorry. But I'm not I'm not a racist. I don't care what color you are. I care if you're an idiot far more than I care what color you are, or what nationality you are, or whatever. Just pick it. If you're
Unless
gay,
you're a Cylon or a Reaper, then we're gonna have some problems.
I'm even pro Cylon. I'll be honest. At this point, Sibh'Bae, would you not welcome our robot overlords?
Only if they're the rebel Cylons that join the humans. 'Cause they were freaking hot.
Hey, I don't care if they wear that dress that one chick was wearing on the cover. I don't care what they're here for. Just
Agreed.
saying. Hot. But yeah, you got to, when you know who you are, these things don't bother you. So when someone's like, well, you're just, and I bring up the Nazi homophobe and all that stuff because I've seen people, they try to throw those cards at them. Well, you're just racist, or you're just homophobic, or you're just this or that. Whatever made up bullshit they have that sounds, it's like the and I'm going to say it just because it happened, the kid that Sib was talking with last week. He's like, he wanted to be on the show. He wanted to do this and he wanted to do that. And then he leaves with, well, fine, fag. What? You're using that word because you think it's going to offend us. For one, you're 11. You're a moron. And two, really? That's what the hell's wrong with you? What are you, from 1980? What, you teleport here to the 2018? It doesn't offend us because he's a stupid fucking kid. Nobody gives a shit. And we know he has no idea the context of what he's saying. Ignorance in that case, it may not excuse it, but it makes it like, well, you're a moron. Why would we be, for one, she's not gay. I mean, I'm not opposed to it if you're willing to try. I'm just saying. I'm gonna take the chuckling laughter as a no.
One of my friends, well, now he's a friend. Initially, he wasn't a friend. Who's homosexual, and I was basically in the closet and had been for most of my life. But my very, very close friends knew that I was queer, and we were in a group of friends, and we were having a disagreement about politics and religion. And he said I was homophobic. And I was like, excuse me? Do you even know what that word means? And
it means you're afraid of gay people.
Yeah. And he was like, it means that you hate me because I'm gay. I said, no. First of all, I don't hate you, but I do think you're an asshole. And you want to know why? Because you're an asshole.
Being an asshole knows no gender, knows right. no color, knows no religion, knows no sexuality.
He told this story several times, and he's, after he got to know me, he realized what a complete, because that's why everyone was laughing. I wasn't mad. I was laughing at him. All my friends were laughing at him because
you're doing the Bugs Bunny thing where you look at the camera like, he don't know me very well, do he?
Well, do he? Yeah, because I've always kind of been the weird one, even in homosexual circles. So when he said that, it was very funny to all my friends. And he was like perplexed as he and I were arguing because he could see everyone snickering, but he didn't know why. And in the end, we became very good friends.
Good.
But I tell this story, and he always cringes because he knows that he was a jerk that night.
Yeah.
And he was like, I shouldn't have said that because you're right. I didn't know you. And that was really
and it was
stupid
just
thing
a
to
quick,
jump on.
it was just a cheap attempt to try to win a stupid argument.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what people, you know, and that's what a lot of people do. They don't think about these things, you know. So, all right, so getting off from the real metaphysical or meta stuff there. But the other way to help get over, you know, when you are a kind of at the top and people are throwing shit at you, what Jazz had to do: rely on your friends, your guildies, the people that you trust. Her husband, obviously, I guess he was there somewhere.
Yes.
You know, you really aren't alone, and you don't have to bear the burden of it alone. Remember that. There's a lot of people, if you're really where you're at that point where you may even think it, and even if you don't, cause like what they said earlier about me on Xanax, I'll be honest, even to this day, I don't think I really even ever considered it, that I was known like that in EverQuest 2. I mean, I know I was known about the people I role-played with, but I don't talk to everybody. I'm actually, other than the show, I'm actually rather insular. And ask these guys, how often do I jump in chats during you guys' role play? It's like
almost never.
It's like seeing
Ashen,
a fucking Yeti.
I'm here to tell you, Ashen is the freaking rare spawn.
Yeah, I part of that is because I can't role play and talk at the same time.
And he may have the J boots if you actually are able to take him out. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. But you have to catch me with it first, but I get that 20% speed boost, so I leave you in the dust. But you don't have to bear that stuff alone. You have friends around you. You do have all that stuff in it, regardless if you're a pillar of the community or you're just, you know, if you're just a schlub like everybody else. We're all schlubs. I mean, it's role play. We're playing an online game. It's you know, step back for a moment and realize exactly what it is you're doing in your pajamas for 4 hours at night, minimum.
Yep.
You know, and trust me, I know as well as anybody. I mean, I get in. I've been playing games since, you know, Atari, and I can get into those games so deeply, especially story-driven ones or not, so deeply. The world around me just falls away, and all that exists is what's in front of me. You know,
I agree.
It's easy.
My friend once told me, he's like, dude, you don't just play Fallout. You freaking live Fallout when you play it. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I kind of do.
Yeah. My brain ratchets up. I crank, you know, I'm watching, looking at everything. I'm taking all this stuff in, you know, and it gets like that, especially probably sometimes even more so with role players, because you're not just living in the world, you're living the world. You're making things, you're part of it. You're a living, breathing part of everything that's going on around you. So if somebody comes after you because you've caught some asshole's fancy for some reason or another, and it could be for any number of reasons, and it's in just as often, you know, trolls, like we said on trolls, most trolls, you know, whatever. It does, those don't, you know, non-role play trolls, they don't really mean a whole lot. They're even, it's very inconsequential on them. But when this stuff comes from fellow role players and stuff like that, that's when it really starts to sting, and you really start to feel that, just, you know, just that shit feeling, you know. Rely on the people around you.
And to the people out there that do this nonsense, and I know there's going to be some people listening right now that have, and are probably telling themselves, well, this was different. It's not different. And nothing is more sobering than hearing, at least it should be if you're a human being, that your behavior and the way that you treated somebody made them think about dying.
Yeah. It's all, and to what you said first, is all variations on a theme, and some of those themes, we've seen people. Like Jazz said, there's a lot of, like we've said, a lot of role players, some of them have issues and things like that. They're deep depression, or I don't know, pick
well, because of me, I was physically ill. I was somebody that worked 50 hours a week, and then I got sick, and I couldn't do anything, and I was depressed and lost. And I found the game, and it gave me something to focus on, and I did. And then this small group of small-minded people tried to take it all away, and it was probably the devastating thing I've dealt with, other than the death of my brother and obviously being targeted at school. But it was devastating. And it took a lot for me to rise above it and think before you start doing this nonsense.
Yeah, because there are real people, and when she drops the suicide thing, she's not doing that offhand. Is like it's not a gotcha kind of thing for the show. That is it's a very serious possible consequence of you treating people like shit and doing these things
because
needlessly.
Some people,
it happens.
This game is all they have, and that's why even when somebody is being a shit to me, and there are always people in every game I've ever played that are like this and who do these things.
Yeah.
But I keep in the back of my head that this game may be all this person has. And for whatever reason, I threaten them. So they're attacking me, but that doesn't justify me attacking them because maybe this is all they have.
Yeah.
And it's a sobering thought to keep in the back of your head, whether you agree with it, whether you think it's okay, whether you think that they should get a hobby. Well, this is the hobby.
Another hobby. Right.
Another hobby, or, whatever your opinion is of the fact that maybe they're too attached to this game, and maybe they are.
You could be right, but
that doesn't give you the right to destroy it.
Right.
And do keep that in mind, that these are people.
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty damaged, imperfect people.
You never know where somebody comes from. Yeah, I have a pretty sweet life. I've had great parents. I've had, a decent education. I do well in life. I've had some missteps. I've had, I've lost people. I've had divorces. I've made bad choices. The divorce wasn't my fault, but that's beside the point. But it still happened.
I slipped that in there.
It's still, yeah. Well, there's different.
And in your words, you found the epic wife and some pre-owned kids, and it was kind of
right.
Awesome.
Yeah, they were slightly used children.
Jeez.
They're what do they call it now at the Goodwill? Gently used.
That sounds so wrong,
used.
dude.
Yeah, they're gently used. They barely had any dust on them at this point. And appreciate whoever I swallow something. Yeah, appreciate you following us, even if you are have a douchebag name.
Yourself before you start reading.
Well, part of my Steam Labs is jacked up today. Like, they had an update, so I can't see half of the screen. It's just a blank white thing because I think they did a bad link to something. So I had to squint at the screen. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. But anyway, we appreciate the follow regardless of how long it is before you end up getting yourself banned.
The band hammer.
But so for like we were saying, for those of the second type that are abusing your station and this power that people have given you, stop it.
Yeah.
Just don't, don't be a dick. Like we were saying just a minute ago, they're real people behind this stuff. And just because you're getting your jolly rocks off, or you're trying to level yourself and compensate for what you don't maybe have in real life, you're hurting other people on you're stepping on the necks and the heads and the backs of people to get where you are. You're role playing in a game, in an online game, or not. Think of what that meant when you were growing up. You're a nerd. You're all nerds. Sorry to break it to you. No, I'm not. You're playing an online game? Yeah, you're a nerd.
I'm not a nerd.
Yeah, you're a big nerd.
I'm totally a nerd.
Oh, yeah.
You're a nerd.
But, but if this much of your life centers on destroying and ruining other people's reputations, the fuck is wrong with you? Just don't. There's no reason for you to go after people with you could do so much better for people around you than inflating your own ego. People will like you for you if you're a better person than you're showing to other people, and by treating them like crap. I mean, if you're trying to be a community leader just because that's your actual goal, the majority of community leaders aren't there because that was what they wanted to be. It just happened. They just got there, And
most people in real life communities who end up being mayors or whatever, they just kind of ended up in that position where they were like, you should do this. And they're like, well, we don't have anybody else and we need you. Oh, okay, I guess, but I'm just this. And they're like, well, just try. One of my very good friends, when I was growing up, I babysat her kids. Just an amazing lady. Worked hard in a factory. She was, barely out of high school. She never really had much of an education. She had 2 beautiful kids initially. She became the mayor of a town that is fairly well known in Iowa. And I was blown away. And she was like, well, the mayor died. Nobody else wanted to step up. I was like, what the hell? And then she was the mayor for 20 years. So being a community leader really is a lot more about timing and happenstance and doing the right thing. And if it's not, then maybe you need to step down.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, or, back off, and it's just disappointing when you see people with a lot of potential to do a lot of really good things and they, use it to go to the dark side of the
They
force.
squander their gifts. Yes. They do what must be done and not in the good way.
So, and like we were saying, we all kind of get it. We all have people we don't like or, or we disagree with them or whatever it is. But, how much of your time, like really seriously, how much is your time worth to you? How much time and energy is it worth putting into convincing other complete strangers that you only know through the game that might like somebody else that you don't like, that they have to despise them as much as you do? I mean, what do you really, really get out of doing that with using your time in that way? I mean, like I said, it's what I said earlier. I think it's just these days. I think some people, they just have so much damn time on your hand. It's a first world problem. To use that in the literal sense. It's you're not out scrounging for food every day. You're not out having to work 14 jobs.
We do in game.
Yeah. But
it's the lazy. It's the lazy, and it's also the misery loves company. Sadly.
Yeah, it's just not worth. It's that kind of, imagine what it. And I get it, when anger and vitriol grips your heart, like that's all you can see. I get that, but you've got to let that stuff go, because otherwise, you're spending 2 or 3 hours, every day just making sure, or however much time it is that if you're spending 5 minutes, you're probably spending too much time to convince other people that this guy over here, you have to hate them because of whatever. I get it with the warning people, like, hey, this person wronged me over here, watch out for them. But after that, you gotta let other people make their mistakes. And 2, if you're spending your time making posts, if you're cataloging and going over all this stuff day in and day out, you have got to let that go. That's not good for your soul. It's not good for your heart. I mean, makes your blood pressure high and probably your cholesterol bet worse than it should be. I'm just saying.
Ultimately, I mean, what's worth your time sitting there, obsessing about some bull crap, or, doing a hobby, building something, getting out of the game that's making you crazy and doing, like, for instance, if I just get pissed off, I'll quit playing, I'll go freaking restore an old gun, or I'll do something else, build something, make some art, something to get your mind off it.
It's something Truth Bob and I were talking about some time ago. Play something else. There are so many great video games out there that if you're Axmalexia or Insomniac had said that they had left ESO for a month, and to get away from it all, they did other things. They probably played other games, and when they came back, they were refreshed. They had a better perspective. If you have to step away, step away. It's gonna be there. It's an MMO, unless it's unless it's already on. It's getting ready to sunset.
Unless it's EQ2 or something like that.
Right, which could be shut off at any time right now. We'd have no idea. Yeah. Those Russian oligarchs, they're still out there. They're on the lam. We don't know. Last I heard, they were probably out in Kinos supporting Queen Antonia Bale for president.
Oh, Oh,
That's
low blow.
serious collusion right there. Lucan.
She has been seen colluding with Russians. I'm just saying.
Uh-huh.
I saw it on a Twitter feed somewhere. That's where I got that's where I get all my information from on fake presidential elections. Vote Lucandelier.
Stop that.
What?
Voting Maxon.
I
These guys are
can't.
nuts.
I can't help
Vote
the guy.
Penelope.
What does a school teacher know about fending off raiders? I'm just saying.
And what does a school teacher know about having to try to pronounce her name 2 or 3 times before she gets it right?
Shut up.
Oh.
And she's got a ruler, okay? She's got a ruler.
I mean, I got a laser rifle. Lucan's got a flaming sword. And what are you going to do with that ruler?
I'm going to smack your hands.
Yeah, there you go. That'll show you.
Gonna give you such a whooping. You're gonna really. It's gonna sting. It's gonna really sting a lot. It'll probably leave like a little welt, like those little ones that. I mean, it'll be gone after 5 or 10 minutes, but it's gonna be painful for that 5 or 10 minutes. But yeah, play other games. There's just so many great games out there. Don't if all you ever do day in and day out, it's something we eventually got Jazz to even do. Try something else. Play something else with the story. It'll relax you. It'll have, unless of course it's what I was playing recently, which is what was it? Within 2 or whatever. I can't remember what it was called. The Evil Within 2. Not so relaxing, but still fun.
Or Alien Isolation. Not so relaxing, but terrifying and fun.
But still fun.
Terrifying and fun.
But
I think I went to Conan. What was it called?
Exiles.
Exiles.
No, not Conan Exiles. The one
Age of
before
Conan.
that. Age of Conan. There we go. I went to Age of Conan, and then I went to Guild War. No, Star Wars, and then Guild Wars. I forget the order.
I don't remember the order.
But I played Lotro.
Lord of the Rings. Did you do Rift?
Yeah, I did Rift eventually.
Yeah, that one was
too late, but I
Yeah.
did Rift. I actually enjoyed it, but there was no RP there anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it was the cities weren't really cities, and it kind of stifled a lot of that. I'm sure there's still probably a small community there, but they're just adrift on their own little island. Poor guys. We should reach out to them and be like, hey.
I will say sometimes playing an offline game can really get your sanity back with Fallout, Skyrim, Mass Effect, anything. Any of those really great story modes.
Vanished forever!
If you're what the crap is that?
Whoa. Oh,
What's going on?
I think she just got pulled out of the Matrix.
I think she did.
She vanished forever and then was like robot voice.
Yeah.
I told you she was Cylon.
She just I'm pretty sure the robots just pulled her right out of the Matrix and put now we're just listening to a program talk. So, but yeah, so in the end, rely on the people around you. You just think things through. Stop, take a deep breath. It's like a lot of things. It's rough, and I get it. It sucks, but there are people out there for you. We're out here for you. Like I mean it. Really, if you guys anybody needs to reach out to us, if we can't get to you right away, which we probably can't. We all have jobs. We all have other things we have going on, but we will reply when we're able to.
Best example I got for this whole episode was when I was a wee 8-year-old playing Legend of Zelda and/or Mario Brothers and getting super angry, slamming my controller down. While Mom said, "That's it, time out, go outside, do something else."
Mm-hmm. It's a lot like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. That original Mario Brothers 2, that was rough. Although I did beat it.
It was rough.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that about does it for this episode. Appreciate to the listener for reaching out to us. I hope I hope this helps. I hope things get better for you. If they don't, like I said, reach out to Jazz. I know you reached out to me, and I'm willing to talk to you. I'd only suggested reaching out to Jazz because she has a lot more experience in this than I do, and she's definitely better versed in handling it. I can give the advice that I gave her, but she has she has the first-hand experience of what it feels like and all that kind of stuff. So she's definitely a good point of interest. Sibh'Bae is in a lot of ways as well, with having raving lunatics try to rule his life. So he'd be a good one.
Yep.
I don't think I would be much of a...
Sib, if you're wanting newbie advice, because I mean, come on, you've been doing it for about 8 years now. You're not really a newbie.
On this topic, I'm really not. I would be like, I can listen to you gripe, and I will certainly give you a hug.
She is a good listener, and she's very sweet, and I do question her choices in life, however.
What? Why? What did I do?
You married me.
Oh. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no one's perfect.
Not everybody can be right like I am all the time.
You make me laugh. You're going to keep me young forever, because if laughter keeps you young, then
we'll go with that.
I've cornered the market on that.
Not the part where I'm trying to make you kill yourself with a heart attack or lack of air through laughter.
Or pee myself.
Yeah, I've done that a couple times. It's funny. So, all right. Will anybody have any final thoughts before we kick this pig and let it go out in the pasture for the night?
Don't kick pigs.
Don't.
I think we're good.
She says
not on
that
this
she
topic.
eats bacon.
I do want to throw out again, if we decide to try to have an episode where, what is it called? Help me out here. It's not
AMA.
the Q&A. AMA. We're going to need you wonderful, just wonderful listeners. Our reason for doing this, to give us some questions.
How did you find Hot Jessica? I thought she was booked through November.
That wasn't Hot Jessica.
Oh.
This Sibh'Bae
Oh,
is
wow.
Hot Jessica. Okay. I'm done.
I stand corrected.
Well, there you go. So.
Dubious Club! Go with the Dubious Club.
Oh, gosh.
All right. So, appreciate everybody tuning in here at RPMMORadio. This is our 55th episode. Like I've said, you can join us live every Saturday, 7 Central, over at twitch.tv/RPMMORadio. If you want to call in next week, rpmmoradio.com/Discord. Join our Discord server. We'll chat with you during the week. We're the hosts up at the top, so if you're ever curious which one of us is which, same names, all that stuff lines up. Or if you want to do it through the old-fashioned way, rpmmoradio at gmail.com, over at Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. So with that, once again, appreciate everybody for joining us. I, of course, am Ashen Phoenix, and I want to thank all my crew, Jazz, Sibh'Bae, Sib, and of course our call screener Yunfei, which had a really easy night because nobody called in. So remember, feel free to call in. And with that, tune in next time when we'll see how many pillars it takes to crush a dozen halflings.
Night, everybody.
Next time on RPMMORadio. Good night, everybody. The thoughts and opinions of those on RPMMORadio are just that and should not be taken as the gospel truth, but pretty close to it. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great video game rock covers and original music.